welcome everybody to Friends of Five. My name is Matthew Perdomo, symbol of sports, where you can find me. To my right side, you got Lasner Sport, aka his real name is Ryan Lasner. And today we have a special guest named Trevor Lane. But before we get to our guests, and before we get to the show, just want to remind everybody to please like, subscribe to the YouTube, and leave your comments. And make sure you support us by going to 5reasonsports.com. Buy these shirts here on the website. And with that, let's get on with the show.
All righty. Trevor, thank you for taking your time. So you work with Lakers Nation. The Lakers are the front runners to win the NBA trophy this year. We also have the Clippers as number 3. Do you think it's that close in separation? Do you think the Lakers should be favorited? How do you feel going into the season coming up?
Well, first of all, yeah, thanks for having me. I did see that the Lakers are now, the betting favorite in order to win the Bill Bryant trophy, win that NBA championship, which, I mean, hey, on one hand, that's great to hear, but everybody knows this is not a runaway by any means. This isn't like, back in the early 2000s when, the Eastern Conference Finals was Lakers versus Nets and there was no drama over who was going to come out the end there. This is a very, very, very close race. In fact, if you look at standings, the Milwaukee Bucks have been the better team over the course of the season. You look at point differential, they are a step ahead of the Lakers, but the Lakers were playing so well heading into the break that I think people are giving them a lot of credit because of that. But you know what? It's really hard to say any team, for me anyway, and maybe it's a bit of reverse jinx here, but it's hard for me to say any particular team is the favorite because we don't know what this is going to look like. This is uncharted territory. Who knows what no crowd, what kind of impact that's going to have? No home court advantage. Is that going to have an impact? That probably helps a team like the Clippers, who weren't going to have home court advantage in their own city if they were playing the Lakers, on top of having a 4+ month hiatus, a break like that. Which teams are able to navigate that successfully and which teams aren't? It's going to be wild when things get back up and going again, because I don't think the status quo is going to be what we see. I think there's going to be some shifting, and it's going to depend on how teams manage all these new challenges.
Nice.
So that being said, do you believe the Lakers have the best chance? I just want to have a chance to put up my picture, but do you actually believe that the Lakers have the best chance, with everything, with the whole team build out and all the rest that they've gotten? Do you believe that the Lakers have the best chance to win this year?
Oh, sure. On the surface, if you look at it and you're telling me you're going to have a team starting with LeBron James and Anthony Davis, I'm going to feel like you have a pretty good chance to win a championship right there. And then the pieces they added in, I think, have clicked very, very well. In fact, they meshed together very early in the season. This is a team where the players genuinely like each other. They get along. They have that chemistry that you usually see in championship squads, both on and off the floor. So, yeah, look, I think that they have a really strong chance. I think if I had to pick one team, that would be the team that I would pick. There's been sort of a championship feel around that roster, but I'm just saying it's certainly not a runaway by any means.
Wow. Okay, so how is it like covering LeBron? Were you covering the team before LeBron came?
Yeah, so I've been covering the team professionally for 5-6 years now. Okay. So it's different. It's been a big change. When I really started to focus in on this was during the rebuild days. I mean, I think the first season I really started writing about the Lakers and everything was Jeremy Lin was a Laker at the time. So it's been a while. But from covering all the young guys and from going through the tankathon process and praying for lottery balls to bounce your way, it has been so different this season. And the biggest thing I can say is this: look, I've been a Lakers fan since the day I was born. Like, the earliest memory that I have is of watching the Lakers with my dad. So that's always been my connection with the team and why I've had such a passion for this job. But if you look at where things have gone, where things are this season, to me, as somebody who grew up during the Showtime era and all of that, this season has felt like Lakers basketball again. The last 5-6 years felt like we were living in a bizarro world. It wasn't right. There's just chaos and things weren't working and countless injuries and nothing seemed to break their way. And now finally it feels like, okay, this is the Lakers once again. And so it's been exciting, but for me personally, there's also been this feeling of familiarity with what we've seen this year.
Nice.
Okay, so what are the other teams that you think are going to be the toughest for the Lakers to defeat? With this whole new setup, I don't even know like how it's exactly going to work. So I guess anybody from the East or West, like who is the toughest for the Lakers to go against?
Well, I mean, certainly the Clippers have got to be up there. They've got a team that's been very, very well built. Some big differences between those two teams just in how they're constructed. You've got the Clippers with their incredible perimeter defense going up against a Lakers team that is more focused on the interior with, Anthony Davis and JaVale and Dwight Howard and LeBron and all those players that can put so much pressure on the rim. So you've got an interesting dynamic there in Lakers and Clippers. And of course, you take away home court advantage. That's no longer there. The Lakers had worked for that all season. They had the number one seed, and now that's gone. Everybody's playing in the same building in Orlando. Nobody's got home court advantage at Disney World. I think that could have been a factor in a Lakers Clippers matchup because even the home court, air quotes, games for the Clippers in LA really would have been Lakers home games because we know Lakers fans vastly outnumber Clippers fans. You got to mention the Milwaukee Bucks up there as well. Right. They're a great team. They're a incredible team with Giannis and just their pieces. We talk about how the Lakers have clicked. The Bucks pieces clicked perfectly too. I thought they were going to take a little step back, losing Malcolm Brogdon last summer, and instead they've just hit another level. They've been amazing. So they're another team that you got to watch for. And there's some sleeper teams out there, man. I mean, if you see Nikola Jokic has shed all that weight, oh my goodness.
Like, I just saw that today.
He looks like he looks like half the guy that he used to be. Literally, he's a completely different person. So who knows what the Denver Nuggets are going to look like? They've got a lot of talent. The Houston Rockets have basically thrown caution to the wind. They're going to play fast and they're going to do everything they can to play your bigs off of the floor. And that's an advantage the Lakers usually have on teams. So the Rockets can throw an interesting look that can confuse teams out there. There's a number of teams that can make a real push and give the Lakers and these other top squads a challenge, especially if some teams come out of the gate not having the chemistry they did before the break, and then other teams pick up closer to where they left off. This all could get shifted on its head very, very quickly.
Nice. So I don't know if you saw Shams mention that I guess teams can bring up to 17 players, including two-way players. And then DeMarcus Cousins, of course, he was with the team. Now he might be recovered or so from his injury. He may not be the answer, but do you think the Lakers are missing something to put that exclamation point to the roster, or do you think that they're ready to go with the team they haven't?
I mean, I think there's always things that you can add to a team, and that Shams tweet, I am still waiting for clarity. I don't quite understand exactly what it means, and the big question mark that's floating around is, okay, you said teams can bring up to 17 players, including two-way players. Well, wouldn't you have just said NBA teams can bring two-way players? Why say 17 players? Does that imply that you could cut a two-way player and then use an extra roster spot to bring someone else back? And that's critical for the Lakers because of Boogie. Or is it 17 players plus two-way players get added in? We don't know exactly what that means. The Lakers don't have an open roster spot right now. But if something breaks where they're able to go get somebody, on the surface, you would think that they would need another wing defender. Of course, we know that's why they had all that interest in, Andre Iguodala and Marcus Morris and all those players that were out there over the course of the year. And we said that from last July that they needed another wing defender. That was pretty obvious going into the season. They just need a 6'7", 6'8" switchy player put out there. But a lot of teams are looking for those guys. But that said, every team's got a weakness. I think that if they have to roll into the playoffs as is, I think that's fine. I think chemistry matters. And the team that they've got built right now, I think, is good enough to get the job done, even if it isn't the perfect roster construction.
Thanks.
I know you know a little bit about the Clippers, so this is more of a Clipper question. Do you think the Clippers would have sat Kawhi Leonard as much this year if they knew that this was going to happen? Like you understand, because they kind of sat him so that he would be ready for the playoffs, but now basically was their whole strategy for not, would it have been better if he just played the whole time?
Well, I mean, on one hand, yes, but so like Kawhi avoided another major injury this season, right? So maybe they benefited in that way, but certainly you look at what the Lakers have done in terms of minutes put on LeBron James, minutes put on Anthony Davis, what other teams have done around the league in terms of putting minutes on their stars, and the Clippers were going to roll into the playoffs with that advantage. Say, hey, look, Kawhi's only played 31 minutes a night or whatever, and we've given him however many nights off. On top of that, in order to keep him healthy, he's going to be rested and fresh when everybody else is going to be kind of dragging, and we're going to be rolling at that point. And now that's out the window because everybody's been off for 4.5 months or 4 months. And so that they lost that aspect of it. But again, they made it through the season without Kawhi suffering any major injury, without him re-aggravating his injury. So in that way, I think it was still a success despite all the, the flack that they took for it.
Is the team chemistry there yet though? Or like, because I mean, the last couple of games I watched, it looks like they still haven't figured it out. Not like the Lakers and
well, they didn't have Paul George for a while either. So.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, is the chemistry there? Because LeBron James and AD, they look perfect. Like they know how to play together. But do Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, and Lewis Williams and Patrick Beverly, do they know how to play together yet?
I think they do. I don't think they're at their peak. I don't think they've figured that out because it takes a while for teams to come together. I mean, the Lakers coming together as quickly as they did is not the norm. That's the outlier for a team to come together that fast.
No,
that said, I think we've seen the Clippers when they're at their best, when they're clicking, they're really, really tough to deal with. We've also seen down games from them where they're not, and they're just clearly not quite on the same page. But you look at what they've got. I mean, and between Kawhi and Paul George, that alone is going to put you in that upper echelon of teams. But then you've got a closer like Lou Williams that, is such a luxury because anytime your offense breaks down, you can give the ball to him and he can go get you a bucket just by himself. Just here, go create something. And his pick and roll chemistry with Montrezl Harrell is incredible. So I think they've got so many weapons that even if their chemistry isn't perfect, they can still find ways to be successful. So I don't think they've hit their ceiling in terms of chemistry, but it may not matter. That's how much talent they've got.
Okay.
Nice. All right. Trevor, you mentioned the Showtime Lakers, and I immediately think Pat Riley, and then obviously the Miami Heat. Any thoughts on the Miami Heat, what they were doing this season with their young core, bringing Jimmy Butler in magically? Any thoughts overall on Miami Heat?
Amazing. I mean, I would have never guessed that they would be sitting at the 4 seed right now in the Eastern Conference. I mean, you look at what they've done this season. You look at the guys that have stepped up. Incredible. I mean, Bam Adebayo has been amazing for a center like him to be dishing out assists like that. That is beyond belief. And then just from a roster construction standpoint, what we've been hearing over the last week is, okay, the NBA is going to be opening up this transaction window sometime around June 22nd. Even the teams that aren't playing can get in on it, can sign some players. And then there's always the disclaimer at the end saying, and these roster moves aren't meaningless. Just look at what the Miami Heat did last year. And that's got to feel good for Miami Heat fans to know, look, you got 2 starters in Duncan Robinson and Kendrick Nunn, right, basically for free. You didn't have to spend draft assets on them or anything like that. And that's incredible. That's finding a diamond in the rough. That's the way that you can take your team to a new level when you find values like that. So they've done a great job. They've got a great veteran in Goran Dragic coming off the bench that I think can pay dividends in the playoffs. And of course, Jimmy Butler has another level that he can get to as well. So they've certainly been one of my surprise teams of the season. And I think they're a great example of when a team comes together and can become greater than the sum of their parts. And that's what we've seen from this Miami team all season.
Nice.
Yeah. So on with the Heat. Do you think LeBron James coming to Miami was like important for him to become the person he became now? Like would he ever has been as good as he is now without coming to the Miami Heat? And also, do you think Spoelstra is a Hall of Fame coach?
So, okay. The first part there, would LeBron be who he is now without going to Miami? Probably not. And I think, look, in terms of the player, right? Like he was constantly growing, constantly developing. Even in Cleveland, he was constantly pushing. And so that matters. I do think he took his defense to a whole new level when he first got into Miami. Those first few years in Miami, those defensive teams were, just a terror. But you look at what he did there. I look at it more from the mental aspect in terms of all the criticism that he took that first season in Miami with basically 29 teams in the league were pulling for the Heat to lose, right? Like that's what we saw. And to withstand that and to fight through that and push through that. And suddenly you're not the fan favorite. That's an uncomfortable spot to be in, right? To now every arena you go into, you're getting booed, you're getting that venom instead of you're this hero getting all of these cheers. And just to deal with that and to have that inner strength that it builds up, I think that's important to be able to take that kind of criticism, because LeBron is a guy who's been praised since he was before he was in junior high.
Yeah.
Right. He's always been the guy, right? This is the next great player. And so to go through that, I think was big. And then, the second part, go ahead.
Yeah, Spoelstra. Do you think he's a Hall of Fame coach? Because a lot of people still believe that he's not a Hall of Fame coach, and they always say, like Erik Spoelstra, isn't a Hall of Fame coach, and he really didn't help LeBron that much, and LeBron is really what made Erik Spoelstra's career, not the other way around. So what's your idea on that?
So I don't know, like if you were to tell me right now, does Erik Spoelstra get into the Hall of Fame at this moment? If everything just stopped, right? And we said, okay, is he in? I would probably lean towards the no side, but his career is far from over. And that's just it. We're not stopping right now. He still has a long ways to go. And I think he is a very, very good coach. I think he's a coach that most teams in the league would love to have. And look, he's got Pat Riley's trust. Right. I mean, and that says something. You look at how long Pat Riley's been around. You look at what he's seen. For him to stick with Erik Spoelstra, even through adversity, I think that's telling. I think he's a very, very good coach. And I think you're seeing part of why he's such a good coach by what he's gotten out of this Miami Heat team this year. He's consistently found ways to get the best out of his squads. And it wouldn't shock me at all if when all is said and done, he is a Hall of Fame coach. I just don't know if I'm quite ready to make that leap yet, but I certainly think he's a Hall of Fame caliber coach, if that makes sense.
Yeah, he has the credentials, he has the championships, but kind of like Lenny Wilkins, you needed Lenny Wilkins to play out his entire career, get those wins up in order for him to be, passed and accolade-wise. I don't know why you said Lenny Wilkins, but so my question is, there's a rumor with Bradley Beal to the Lakers. Obviously everybody wants to put the big name somewhere else, leave the smaller markets. Do you think that's a possibility? And then also, now Shams also mentioned that Giannis and Victor Oladipo to the Heat and after 21 or in 21. Like, do you think that's a possibility as well? What do you think about these big names?
So I think first of all on the Bradley Beal thing, I think it's hilarious. It's been, I mean, as long as I can remember, this has been the way it goes, right? Like it's not an untrue statement. Hey, the Lakers would like to trade for Bradley Beal. Really? No kidding. The Lakers would like to trade. 29 teams in the NBA would like to trade for Bradley Beal. I mean, that's just kind of like, as I recall, it was something to the effect of the way that the sentence was structured was like, a number of teams, including the Los Angeles Lakers, are interested in trading for Bradley Beal. You throw the Lakers in there because it's going to get the attention. Can they trade for him? No. Look, I mean, if Bradley Beal were to hit the trade market and the Lakers say, okay, here, we're going to put together our very best offer. It's going to be, Kyle Kuzma and the number 29 pick and a few contracts thrown in. I mean, how many teams would beat that offer in a heartbeat? A lot. So that's not a thing. It's not, I don't foresee that happening or anything like that. That's not the way it's going to go. Would it be nice for Lakers fans? Yes, absolutely. But it's not happening. As far as Giannis coming to Miami in 2021 and Victor Oladipo, I mean, it's possible. It does feel like Oladipo has really settled into Indiana and was really embraced there. And I think there's certainly value to that. And Giannis, same thing in Milwaukee. But we've seen Miami do this before, right? When they brought in LeBron and they brought in Chris Bosh. They like to keep the powder dry so that if there is a big move out there to be made, they can make it. So never say never, but landing two big, or big-ish stars with Oladipo in the same offseason, like it's probably always less likely to happen than going to happen. But again, Pat Riley has pulled off stuff like this before, so never say never.
There you go.
Never say never. I like the Justin Bieber quote that you added.
That was certainly not intentional. and now I feel a little gross.
Okay. I have a question, and I don't want to, damper the mood or anything, but it pertains to Kobe Bryant, right?
Yeah.
I think everybody says he was one of the greatest NBA basketball players. Why was Kobe Bryant so good though? Because if you look at his stats, right, and I don't want to just follow stats, but I'm saying like you look at his stats, he doesn't dominate anybody in anything. he doesn't dominate anybody in defense either. So what is it that made Kobe the best, one of the best players in the NBA?
Top 5 or top 10.
Yeah, you know.
Well, I mean, to say he doesn't dominate anybody in like he was first team all defense. How many years in a row? Like, you know, you look at what he did in the Olympics, right? He just said, hey, look, we've got plenty of scorers on this team. I'm going to be the defensive stopper. And that's exactly what he did. He took over on the defensive end. So I don't necessarily agree that he didn't have that defensive ability towards the end of his career. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
He became more of a turnstile, but that's what happens to a lot of players when they get older. Right. That's a thing. Defense tends to slip first. Why was Kobe so great? I mean, look, you can look at it and say, okay, you know, these 2 seasons or whatever, 3 seasons of Tracy McGrady were right there. He was Kobe level. And yes, you can make that argument, but look how long Kobe was good for, right? You've got 2 decades that he was playing for the Lakers, that he's in the spotlight, that he's fighting through all the different things that he did. In order to get out there and play each and every day. You look at the injuries that he dealt with. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen anybody play hurt as often as he did. Find ways, like he played a whole season with a giant wrap on his shooting hand on his right. Pointer finger, and he's still shooting with it, no problem. He hurts his right shoulder, so he's shooting left-handed. That's just Kobe. It's all of that, everything that combined. You can look at the stats. You can say, hey, he was this level of player. You can say, oh, he wasn't that efficient or whatever. He's not shooting threes and layups like we do now. Well, that was a different era that he came up in. He came up under Jordan, where the mid-range jump shot was the ideal shot. And then offenses have changed over time. If you brought a rookie Kobe in right now, certainly his game would look different because the advanced analytics are different today. Same thing with any player from the past. But again, I think it all comes back to how good he was for so long, how many big moments he had, the longevity that he had as a player, and then just the impact outside of the game of basketball is amazing. You know, you look at what's been going on right now, and you look at the different protests and things like that have been happening in Los Angeles, and you look around the city and you see the murals of Kobe Bryant are going untouched. Other things are getting destroyed, and nobody's touching the Kobe murals because he's got that respect and he's got that kind of just love from the city, from Lakers fans, from basketball fans. He truly was bigger than basketball. And so I think for all of those reasons combined, that's why Kobe is an all-time great.
Okay.
Cool. I mean, I loved Kobe Bryant growing up. He was one of my favorites. I had his autographed jersey in front of my bed. And man, I always wanted to be like Kobe. And then, eventually the Heat got Dwayne Wade, and then I kind of just become more of a local fan, and I kind of swayed away from him. But I know why I liked him. He was a dynamic at everything. It seemed like he was better than Vince Carter, and Vince Carter was elite. It's just kind of how I kind of remember it. And then obviously the trophies. I mean, he won 5 championships. So Trevor, what would you say is your favorite thing about covering the Lakers?
My favorite thing is that it's something that I'm so passionate about, right? I mean, you look at, so this is something that I always looked at when I was growing up and everything. And I started thinking about, okay, what do you want to do for a job? And what I didn't want to do is a job that I didn't like. And maybe that's simple to say, but one of the things that I learned from early jobs and things like that is there's a completely different feeling when you're doing a job that you don't like just for the paycheck. To me anyway, it's a different kind of tired when you're exhausted working a job that is not fulfilling, that isn't what you want to be doing, compared to if it's something that you're really passionate about, that you love, then it doesn't feel like a job. It doesn't feel like work. It's something that you'd want to be doing anyway. And so that for me personally is my favorite part about this is stuff that I'd be doing anyway. I'd be following the Lakers anyway. I'd be talking Lakers basketball. And so to get to do this is so amazing to me. And I'm forever grateful to be able to do this because again, I get to do my favorite thing, and I get to sit and talk about Lakers basketball day, which is amazing. So I love that. And then on top of, getting to cover great players, getting to cover, Kobe Bryant and LeBron James and now Anthony Davis and, Pau Gasol, all of them. It's been certainly amazing.
Nice. All right, Trevor. Well, thank you obviously for being on our show. We are indebted to you. We'd like to have you back if the Lakers win the championship. That would be the only reason why.
Lakers matchup, we definitely have to have you on again.
If it's Lakers or Heat, yes.
Yeah, we'll definitely have you on. Even if whoever it is, we can have you on. It seems like you have more knowledge that we could get in 25 minutes. Yeah.
And then I guess we'll just set you off with this question. Who are your favorite athletes growing up?
Magic Johnson was my favorite growing up. My favorite, when he came back in '96, I plastered my walls in my room with newspapers announcing his comeback and everything. So, so Magic Johnson was certainly one of my favorite athletes growing up. And then on top of that, a lot of soccer players, Tim Howard, it's goalkeepers mostly because that was my position when I played soccer. So, so Tim Howard, of course, was a big one of mine, and he's been playing for a while now. Casey Keller was probably my favorite right before him. And then from being in LA, the LA Galaxy, I always loved the flash and flair of Jorge Campos. So, so yeah, those were some of my favorite athletes growing up, in addition to, of course, all the Kareem and Magic and Kobe and all of them.
So then you do have a soft spot for Beckham.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Bend it like Beckham. Yeah, for sure. Whenever I still coach teams today, and whenever I do, I'm always practicing my free kick just in case at some point somebody needs me.
All right, Trevor. Well, thank you again for your time, and we wish you the best and stay safe.
Yeah,
thanks, guys. You too.
Follow Trevor Lane on Lakers Nation, and make sure you go to our site, 5reasonsports.com. Pick up a shirt. You too, Trevor. You can pick up a shirt. I know you're a big Miami Heat fan, so beautiful shirts here. All right.
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you very much, guys.
All right. Thanks, guys.